Hi guys, and welcome to episode 25 of the Spfl RTG on FC25, where we're doing a little bit of an experiment in this video. We're seeing across two sets of Foot Champs weekend leagues just before Team of the Season how creative the community is, because this year in particular there has been a lot of criticism about everybody using the same players, everybody using the same teams, same formations, that sort of thing, going for the meta quote evolutions and stuff like that. So I wanted to see over the course of two separate weekends, to make it fair instead of just doing one weekend, how creative people's teams actually were. So across this video, you're going to see sets of teams that people used during the weekend league, and we'll see how often different players crop up, how often the same formations crop up, that sort of thing. But before we get into it, this is the team that the first weekend league went into. As you can see in front of you, we have, of course, completed the Lennon Miller evolution for the Become Immortal one, making him a 94 rated with icon chemistry, but it doesn't actually matter because of the fact that he is in a full Scottish Premiership team anyway, so he would be getting full chemistry regardless. But before we get into the weekend league stuff, thank you very much for all the new subscribers and the new viewers as well. A lot of the subscribers on the channel won't have actually been here straight away since the last episode of the SPFL RTG, so this might be the first time you're seeing it. If it's something that you enjoy, please like the video and tell other people as well. Let's see how quickly we can get to 400 subscribers. We hit 300 the other day, so thank you very much for that. Also, I wanted to very quickly show you the team that we went and done the, I think it was the Become Immortal Cup with, to get the potential of that Maldini, but we were actually doing it for two reasons. One, to get the untradeable Kenny Dalglish, because we need to have every single version of every single icon and hero from the Scottish Premiership, or that is played in the Scottish Premiership, by the end of the year. And we did have one in the club, but it wasn't first owner, so I decided to go and get that. This was the team that we went into it with, because of course there was ratings caps, and as you can see, I do have that new DeMarcus Beasley that is officially the very first Scottish Premiership hero card that we've ever had, because he actually has the SPFL logo on it there, as you can see. His better version in the promo is an MLS card, and we do actually have that in the club as well, thanks to Foot Champs Rewards. Both of them first owner. That one isn't, because I had to buy them before I got them at that point. The question is, how well did we end up doing in the Cup? Well, as you can see, we ended up getting 22 wins in the end. Jack Butland didn't really help us out in terms of being able to keep the golden goals out, but I'm pretty pleased with managing to get the 22. I wasn't going for the Maldini. It would have been used for fodder anyway, and we've got plenty of packs saved up for Team of the Season. The dates that I've seen for the rest of Europe Team of the Season is the 10th of May. Fingers crossed we do get some SPFL cards in there. We have the new season pass coming up on Thursday, not only the regular one, but there is a paid one that has been getting a lot of attention as well. Who knows if we might get an SPFL card in either of those. We have had cards in the past like Cameron Carter-Vickers in the season pass, Mohamed El Yunusi, Yanis Hadji, Christopher Julian. I'm sure I'm missing a couple of others as well, but all those guys have been in season passes previously, so we'll see what we can get from that. But without further ado, let's get into some of the teams that we faced across the two weekends in Foot Champs. So, the very first team we face, and we come up against, by far, the most popular formation in not quite the most popular formation, one of the most popular formations at the start of the game. We've got ourselves a 5 at the back. So if it was the very start of the game, we would have been like, oh, this is a very generic team. In terms of the cards in front of us, I know that some of them are quite hard to see, but we've got that Konate, which was extremely popular. Joe Gomez is a meta evolution choice. We have the Casillas in goals. So, you know, you don't come across 5 at the back formations very often, but again, still a fair few meta options there, so not the most creative team in the world to start it off. And on to a team that I was very pleasantly surprised to come up against. As you can see, it's an very near all full Rangers squad with the exceptions of Nicky Devlin at right back, which I had no problem with him going there. However, unfortunately, he did have Beckenbauer at the back and Casillas in goals, which lets it down slightly for me. But I was really happy to see this team in particular coming up against with having an SPFL RTG. But just a shame about the Beckenbauer and Casillas in goals. I understand wanting to go with a different goalie than the informed Butland because he's absolutely terrible. But still a little bit disappointing, especially with such a meta option like Casillas. And then we go on to our next opponent, still lacking in some of the creative department. Van der Sar and Casillas, by far the two most popular goalkeepers to go with, so you're going to lose points for having those. That Gabriella was coming up against that a lot. The Captivia choice is the meta choice there. Kai Havertz, kind of a meta choice to go for that, becoming a Mortal 1. Other than that, though, I suppose it's semi-creative with the formation and the choices of players out with that, so not too bad in the end. And then our next opponent, once again, we come up with Casillas in goals, so every single opponent so far has had the two most meta choices in goals. Think of that what you will, but I just think it's a bit of a shame that there's no creativity sometimes when it comes to the goalkeeper. This was the first time I'd actually come up against that Son, but I ended up coming up against him a couple of more times, so maybe that is the meta pick in that situation, and a lot of people love that Pedro Neto to be used as well. Little bit of a meta choice for the evolution there, and then the Gareth Bale has been extremely popular since he came out as well as a replacement to a Theo Hernandez or something like that at left back. So again, could do with a wee bit more creativity, I would say. So far, the most creative team is the second team we've seen, and it still could have been a little bit better. Now, this one, arguably the most meta side we've come up against, the 4-2-2 formation, of course, has been extremely popular for a couple of weeks now, and this guy also has Isak as a meta choice for that evolution there. The flashback Ronaldo, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Van der Sar in goals, and Theo Hernandez at left back. So not quite just going straight for the meta, but again, not as creative as it could be with some of the players. And it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be at this point, but it is still a little bit disappointing to see no creativity, particularly in goals so far. And our next team, same meta formation, same meta left back, same meta goalkeeper as well. And I've seen a couple of people using that Muller. Billing, of course, fits the meta as well. So it's just a little bit of a shame that, people seem to go online and go, what's the best custom tactics? What's the best formation to be using at the moment with the current patch? It's just a shame that there doesn't seem to be a bit of creativity with the choice of players as well, particularly with evolutions, because that is one of the best things that they've added into FIFA/FC for years. It allows you to take non-meta players and make them usable, and people just seem to go for the meta option, like we have Theo Hernandez at left back there. And we finally come up against someone who has chosen a different goalkeeper. Unfortunately, they've let themselves down with the choice of centre-half with Joe Gomez, Kante for the Become Immortal evolution, but more than that, they've let themselves down with using the 4-2-1-3 formation. By far the most popular / meta formation in the game. I don't know if I agree with people saying that it's as popular as the 4-3-2-1 from last year, but I do see it every single weekend, without doubt. Usually, the majority of the time, this weekend actually, and the last weekend, not as much as I thought I was going to see it, but major points off if you use this formation for me. It just is what it is. But the new goalkeeper is short-lived. We go back to the most meta option in goals, or one of the most meta options, and then you have a bunch of meta players in this team. Options-wise, that Varane card was the meta choice at the time. Theo Hernandez, Gareth Bale, Cristiano Ronaldo, that Human Son, like I mentioned. He's done that Brian Gill because he's got 99 shooting, and people put that all over Twitter as well, and that Rutulit. So, arguably, the most meta-based team we've seen so far, even though he's gone for the 4-4-2, which also, since patches, people have said is quite OP. But the only thing that could have made this one worse for me is if he'd gone for the 4-2-2 or the 4-2-1-3. Of course, he could have had a more meta option at centre-half and right-back. And Bon Mati, don't see as much of her, but it's probably the most meta-looking team we've seen so far. And then we come up against this one, which is arguably even more meta. The goalkeeping position with Casillas, Gabriel, the Neymar evolution. You've got that Henry SBC, the Dembele evolution, and choosing Kante as he's become a immortal evolution. Formation, a little bit different, I suppose, but still, a little bit more creativity would be more appreciated. Our next team, Hibs Badge, lovely stuff, but, disgustingly meta team, especially with the formation and evolution choices as well. Casillas and goals once again, Trent Alexander-Arnold, the Rafael Leao choice for evolution, the formation, like I said, and that Dembele SBC. So, not a great team to come up against in terms of creativity once again, and we still have only had one team that hasn't featured either Iker Casillas or Edwin van der Sar in goals. This one, despite the fact that, you've got the meta Gareth Bale and the meta Ruud Gullit, I actually really enjoyed coming up against this team. Peter Crouch, Hudlin, a unique choice for the Become Immortal evolution. This one was quite a fun guy to come up against, despite the fact that he does have a couple of meta players thrown in there. And then I suppose the Hudlin was very famous on Twitter going, oh, look how tall he is, he's going to be a joke. This was still a fun one to come up against. I appreciated this one in terms of creativity. This one here, again, we come up against the Ruud Gullit here, but other than that, the Zambrotta at right back's a little bit meta. People obviously really like that Kolo Muani. The Del Piero has been a popular option as well. But I'd say, again, this one is probably one of the more creative ones we've seen, if nothing to do with the fact that he's got a different goalie in goals than Alisson as well. So, not too bad from this guy either. But back to our normal ways with Casillas in goals. We've got the Sawa SBC, which I never mentioned before as well. Gabriel SBC, the Captavia choice from the season pass. Marmoush as well. That Muller, increasingly popular it seems, a B too. So, again, this one lacking creativity, I would say a little bit. This one, despite the fact that Gareth Bale would normally be in my choices for, this guy has chosen a meta one. As you can see, we have a Spurs past and present in use here, so I'll let him off with this one. And I'd say, overall, given the fact that it is a Spurs past and present, and unlike the Rangers team earlier, he's used an actual goalkeeper that would count towards it instead of Casillas. I'm saying this guy's the most creative one so far, but he still gets big points off for choice of formation, I would say. Unbelievable that as much as this guy, oh yes, Spurs past and present, I really like the choices of that, he's still gone for the most meta formation. It's a shame. But people want to win the games, and they're not going to enjoy themselves if they're getting spanked around all the time. I personally, at the moment, in the past few weekends, have been finishing 9 wins, 10 wins and stuff like that. I don't claim to be the best player in the world, but I'm never going to resort to using this formation or the most meta formation, as it seems. On to our final team from the last weekend, and it was a very interesting one to come up against. The Alawaran, is he the meta choice for the end of the pass? I haven't seen a lot of people enjoying the card this year. The Captavia is obviously a meta choice. Van Dijk, extremely meta choice. The Buffon I was seeing a little bit more and more, but I've seen people complaining about it. But having Roberto Carlos at left mid was definitely an interesting choice. So, not too bad in terms of the creativity, although Elise could argue that's a little bit of a meta choice for an evolution. And we move on to the second weekend, which we actually only have 14 teams for because I forgot to take a photo of the last team, but it was a 4-2-1-3 formation with, the likes of the Luis Suarez evolution, if I remember rightly, had Van der Sar in goals, so it wasn't the most creative team in the world. But, as you can see, small difference to this side. Two small differences, that is. We have the Yang on the bench, which went into both Hawk evolutions and the left wing and right wing evolutions that dropped on, or the left wing and right mid evolutions that dropped on Friday to get him up to a 91 rated team of the season card on the bench. as well as Lawrence Shankland, as you can see, that went into the striker evolution. But we still have that one that caps at 74 rated for a right winger. I'm waiting to see who we can chain that with to get the best out of it. Nicholas Kuhn might be an option there. We might choose a lower rated striker that potentially goes into a striker evolution that comes up. We'll wait and see what happens with that one. But that was the team going into this weekend's fixture. And our first team, extremely meta. I saw this and went, wow, you know, Saliba, Casillas, Gabriel, Capdevia, Mainoo's a meta choice for that. Hullet, Drogba on loan as well. The Dembele, probably the most disgusting team we've seen so far, let's be honest. In the formation as well. Doesn't help. Wow. Terrible team. And even though we have Pickford in goals, we've still got the Capdevia. Interesting choice for Hazard at centre mid, to be fair. And I did appreciate the Beasley, but Mia Hamm, you know, very meta choice up top. It has to be said for that. Next team, Capdevia, Saliba, meta choice, Gabriel, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Drogba up top as well. You know, still pretty meta looking. Although Chesney in goals, a little bit different. And then we go on to Thierry Henry up top. That Nwaneri as well, he's a little bit of a meta choice, I would say. Trent, definitely meta. Mendy, absolutely meta. You know, that Maldini, you could argue, is meta as well. People were playing it just to get him. Di Natale, I've seen him quite a few times. Buffon in goals, though, not the promo one, so gets a little bit of points for that, although formation choice, again, loses some points there. Van der Sar in goals, but I may be able to let him away with it because he seems to potentially be an Ajax fan. However, the rest of his back line, totally meta. His formation, totally meta. His choices for players as well, pretty meta choices. Not a lot of creativity there. Unfortunately, again, not very creative in terms of the formation choice and players' choices, particularly Kante for the becoming immortal evolution. Although, to be fair, the rest of the team seems to be somewhat creative. And then, of course, we see Saliba again, Theo Hernandez again, and we've obviously got Mbappe, who, you know, it's actually the first time we've come up against him, I think. But Nwaneri again at right wing. Del Piero, arguably meta. Chesney in goals again. Maybe that's a meta one cropping up. But this weekend, a lot more creativity when it's come to the goalkeeper. I say just before coming up against, yet again, another Van der Sar. We have Varane as well as Maldini. Trent to Messi was the meta choice for that evolution when it came out. Neymar, another meta choice. Mainoo, Cafu as well. Maybe Aloran is meta. Who knows? But, you know, again, a little bit lacking creativity. This one here, yeah, pretty creative, apart from the Maldini, I suppose, and Salah, because he has some Northampton Town players, which I greatly appreciate when people actually include players that EVOS should be used for 100%, because he supports that team clearly, and he's used the EVOS to get them to a usable capacity. So well done, sir. Despite the fact you've chosen a meta-ish formation with some meta players, you still get some bonus points. And then back down to earth with meta choices in goals, on the back line, up top, and in the midfield as well as the formation choice. Just a shame that we can't get that level of creativity each time. And once again, we go back to meta choice in goals, and Zola, to be fair, first time we've seen him, but a lot of people were raving about him, but the meta formation choice does let it down once again. And another meta formation choice with meta choices of players, but loans to make it even worse, in my opinion, as well. Not great. Not great at all from that point of view. This one here, Martinez in goals, haven't seen him a lot, but again, we have Gabriel sitting in the team, Thierry Henry as well, so losing a couple of points for that. But this one, relatively creative otherwise, I would say, particularly with Ben White at right back. And our final team has some, probably one of the most unique choices in goals, a gold Donnarumma. Rashford, certainly not a unique choice for Evolutions. He's been one of the most popular ones all year that people have been posting about, and last year, and as well. Maicon at right back, Maldini sitting in there, and Mendy Evolution as well. And that's going to do it for that. So let me know what you think about the creativity. Am I being a little bit harsh at times? Understand that people are like, well, I should be able to play what I want. And absolutely, you should be able to play what you want. But at the end of the day, the one that seems to bug me the most is that people just recycle tactics all the time, recycle the same formations all the time, and are using a variety of the same players. This year, the most popular choices appear to be the goalkeeping. As you can see, the vast majority of the teams had either Van der Sar or Casillas in goals. Yes, Casillas in particular, with being an SBC, you need a goalkeeper that's not going to drive you mad. I still maintain that had I had a better goalkeeper than Jack Butland, I would have had the 11 wins by now that I've been targeting all year. But it isn't to be at the moment. We'll see if EA are kind enough to potentially give us a team of the season Kasper Schmeichel, please, or a Footies Butland when Footies come around. Unfortunately, by the time Footies come around, I won't be left with a lot of time to get those 11 wins. We shall see what happens. But I have got a bunch of packs saved, as I said, for team of the season as well. I'm probably looking to open some of them if and when we get an SPFL player in the team of the season. If we don't, somehow, then I'll just open them during Ultimate Team of the Season just to see what kind of cards we get that we won't be able to use. Let's hope we get some past and present cards like potentially a Van Dijk or a Frimpong or something like that. Thank you very much for watching. I know it's a long episode compared to some others. If you are new around here, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in